0. Welcome back to the Press Club this Saturday evening on DBS. My guest once again is Laura Jean-Pierre, host of DBS Newsmaker Live every Wednesday right here on your screen. And Laura, let's go into our justice system. We made mention a while ago about it. We all know and we accept, even though we're not glad about it, the justice system is broken. It seems to have been fixed for the Mr. Somé, in the case of the French guy, and that has opened a whole Pandora's box, which has done two things. It has forced, in my view, a necessary discussion on the question of remand justice. We know Dr. Stephen King and others have long been promoting the cases of persons on remand. We know as a result of this that there are over 300 St. Lucians awaiting cases at Bordelais. We know, as you said, in many cases they cannot afford, but not in all. I have said before, I don't think we will know what happened, because you're dealing with a justice system. The judge who took the decision is not going to say, I was called by the Prime Minister who said make a case, you know. The DPP's department is not going to say, we were listening to the radio and, you know, we think we should do something to save our country. So in that sense, I don't think we're going to get a story today. But the truth never remains hidden. And that story will come out. Until that story comes out, what is your take on what happened there?
Well, you said that the justice system was fixed in this instance with the French guy. I don't know that it was. I don't know that it was just a plaster that was put on a sore. I don't know that it was not a washment type of situation. And I think speculation is thriving. This is why St. Lucians will always speculate. Well, exactly. It all depends on that. It's very relative. And I think that's why we're always going to be a nation that speculates a lot, because communication is not rampant. It's not something that we practice in this country. Let me just read something here to you. Rule of justice is a jurisprudential principle that determines the sphere of individual liberty in the pursuit of individual welfare, so as to confine that liberty within limits that are consistent with the general welfare of humankind. They are laid down for the protection of society. So it cannot be seen to work for one in one particular case. It has to be seen to work for everybody in all the cases. I mean, yay, I'm certain that the people on remand who are saying, yay, great for Eric that he got out. But what about them who've been sitting there for 15 years? And for me, I asked the question, why was this guy, after 4 years, which is, as far as I'm concerned, a bit long to be sitting on remand for your case to be heard, in 3 days, his case was called, he was sentenced, and he was freed. I've never heard that.
Was he freed? Because you see,
well, he was freed in so much as
he pleaded, and we have to make a difference between common law interpretation of the law and us as journalists being careful about the messages that we send. And there's reference to the gentleman having been freed. If we are to go with the definition of him being freed, as is generally accepted in terms of being freed, it would sound like, you know, he was in jail at Bordelais awaiting trial and he was just set free. A process went after 23 appearances, like you said, something happened, and all of a sudden in 3 days, what couldn't have happened in 4.5 years happened. But what happened? A process happened in that 3 days. His charge was reduced from murder to manslaughter or whatever it was. He was given a lesser charge. That lesser charge, he pleaded guilty. He pleaded guilty, was sentenced on the basis of pleading guilty. And the sentence had to take into consideration a reality that he had spent 4.5 years. And when we look at which not everybody knows how the justice system works and how the penal system works, so that while it would appear that this guy was given 6 years, and like somebody asked me, he was given 6 years, and he only spent 4.5 years, why isn't he spending the other 1.5 years? And not everybody knows that the amount of time spent, you know, actually in prison, you know, has a relationship to how much you are sentenced when you've been on remand. So yes, that 3-day process, I'm saying, if it was possible, and that's where I want to go, he wasn't freed.
I understand.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is, my point I'm trying to get to is that I know he wasn't
Would
free.
you like to see that process done
I want
for
to
every
see
single
that process
person?
done all the time. You go to court, your case is heard, you're sentenced, and then you're given you're sentenced and you're given your sentence.
And lawyers will tell you, whether they are defense or prosecution, that every single case relating to all of those 300 plus persons at Bordelais, every case is different.
Every case
and
is
in
different.
some cases, as he was pointing out, in the case of the French guy, my source was telling me, the case wasn't going ahead because the prosecution was unable to produce a witness.
Okay,
Was that witness produced? What happened?
Here's what I think. I think that it's very curious that this man was sentenced for the exact amount of time that he's already served, or that he was given in lieu of time served. Let me tell you something. A St. Lucian is dead. A St. Lucian was killed, or a St. Lucian met his demise as a result of this foreigner. Now, my question, I'm going to throw it back. How many of our St. Lucians are languishing in French prisons right now, and we don't have, we're not saying anything. We're not going out there and bullying anybody or saying, okay, these people have to be out and making a case for them. I don't know that I've heard of any St. Lucian who has gone through. I would like to see
the French system
reciprocate what our system has just done for their national. I would like to see our justice system work for our St. Lucians just the same way it's worked for this guy, this Eric Some guy. This is what I would really love to see.
What role do you see the Bar Association, the lawyers in St. Lucia, do you see them having a role? I can remember, for example, the Bar Association went on strike for better facilities.
For themselves.
Of course, we're going on strike, as I said. The contradiction there is that you say justice delayed is justice denied, but then you go on strike indefinitely.
Right, and then you delay justice. But at the same time, we have to understand both. It's a dichotomy. We have to understand, okay, for me to be able to do my job, for me to even be able to represent my client fully, I can't be going to work and then suffering health issues, maybe I have asthma, whatever the case is, because the situation is not right. We have to be able to strike a balance. We have to get both. So I'm saying,
now
yes,
that,
on the one
that
hand,
has been addressed.
Right. So I'm coming to this.
Where do you
now
see them
that now that this has been addressed, and you guys now are operating, and it stands to reason, I can make the correlation and say, okay, it stands to reason that now that you've gotten what you need to do your job properly, we can see the manifestation of that, because this guy was brought to you, his case was heard, he was sentenced, and
the wheels of justice
is spinning and spinning really quickly. It's accelerated. I would like to see this exact same thing happen for all of the people who are sitting in remand, the Ninja Dance, the St. Roman guy. I mean, he's out now.
How would you see that happening? How do you see that happening?
Exactly what happened. Exactly what happened for Eric Some. I would like to see that duplicated time and time again, so that we can get our people. Well, I want to know what happened. I want to know what happened, and that's the thing. I want to know what happened. Whatever happened, if a foreign government was able to put socks on our government so that they could, squeeze them so that they can get what they want, then our government is not going to.
Who's going to squeeze our government?
We, the people.
But our government cannot interfere in the legal justice system.
That's that. We bitten over the head with that time and time again. But again, it begs the question: what happened in this case? Because if it could happen without any, the government, the legislative arm of the government cannot put socks on the judicial arm of the government.
Without being dictated to.
Right. What we want to know:
if the judiciary could make the judicial system system and make the wheels of justice
Right.
turn
I wonder if
fast.
it's WD-40, you know, that one.
Boy, yeah.
Whatever it is, we want to know. We have to speak out in the show. We have to know what happened,
But while-
and we want it duplicated.
While we're waiting, we have to go for a break. But when we come back, I want to ask you your view on night court. Whether you
Oh,
think night
absolutely.
courts are going to help
Wonderful.
address our speed up the delivery of justice. Stay tuned, folks. We're taking a second break, and we will be right back. Stay tuned. Don't touch that remote.